Today I want to talk about peace. In Isaiah 9:6 it says, For unto us a child is born, unto us a son is given, and the government will be upon his shoulder, and his name will be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, and say this with me, Prince of Peace. This is something that sticks out to me because there's multiple times in the Bible where it talks about that he is the Prince of our peace, or he is the supplier of our peace, or the punishment of peace was put upon him. And yet in this world, we live in this world where it seems like there is so much stress, we can barely breathe. It's like over 70% of the population is on antidepressants and on some kind of anxiety medicine. And I'm telling you, because I understand and I know that a lot of this stuff is caused by one word, stress. When in this world we have, just like our salvation has been paid for, just like our freedom from the sin and from the devil's plans has been paid for, everything that Jesus paid for at the cross is paid for, and that was including peace. And I think for us to understand what that really means, we have to dig in a little bit and understand what peace really means. Because I think for some of us, we think that peace is that when we shut ourselves in our house and don't talk to anybody ever again, and we're just secluded from everything, and people think that that's peace. That's not peace. And I don't want to jump the gun, but that's not peace. That is just secluding yourself from the life. But I think that Jesus had something different in mind when he was talking about peace. As a matter of fact, if you look in Isaiah 53:4, one of my favorite scriptures comes from Isaiah 53. And this says, Surely he bore our griefs. He carried our sorrows, and we esteemed him stricken, smitten of God, and afflicted. And verse 5 says, But he was wounded for our transgressions. He was bruised for our iniquities. And what does this say this next? It says the chastisement of our peace. That word actually can be translated to punishment. The very punishment, the payment, the penalty of our peace was laid on him. So that tells me that he paid for us to have a peace in this world, and yet almost every Christian in America is suffering from some kind of depression, anxiety, and just overloaded and just this chaos. And so that tells me as a pastor, including pastors, now I ain't standing up here saying that I'm free from all that. I suffer from it just as much as you do. I even have something to learn from this. Because if Jesus paid for us to have peace, then we should be having peace in our lives. We should be, inside of us should be spilling just peace through our blood. That we should be calm, we should be rested, and we should have peace. And I don't understand really why we can't grasp that. But I do know that it has everything to do with the enemy of our souls. The devil has helped create culture that everything starts moving fast. Have you ever noticed we don't slow down? We can't sit on the porch for 10 minutes because we got so many things we have to do. You know, when I was growing up, that was the thing. You sit on the porch and rock. You know, it's just like, oh, Andy, you know, we just sit on the porch. In our free time, we sit on the porch. Now, we're in such a hurry even to catch a TV show. It seems like everything is laid out and our time is ate up. How many of you suffer from this syndrome? It's called the evaporation of time syndrome. You look up and you think you have 4 hours to get done what you got to do, and 30 minutes later you have 10 minutes left. Anybody else suffer from that like I do? That's an enemy of your peace, and we're going to talk about that a little bit more. It's just that we don't slow down enough to enjoy life. I'm telling you something I know. We don't slow down enough to enjoy life because we have connected the enjoyment of life to things in life that we have to slave over to pay for. We don't even know what it means to just sit and relax. If I was to ask you, I know more than half of you would raise your hands. How many of you in here have trouble sleeping because your gears don't stop turning at night? You don't have to raise your hand, but I know most of you probably would do that. I'm one of those people. I never stop thinking. Even in my sleep, I wake up and I'm still thinking, I'm processing. And that's not healthy. We should be at rest. And a lot of it comes from this fella right here. because this is what we look at while we go to bed. This is what we look up first thing in the morning. Don't lie. The first thing in the morning, you grab this phone, go to Facebook, and see how many notifications you got in the middle of the night. Don't lie. Because we have this like obsession. And I think I'll veer off a little bit and rabbit trail for a minute. This is actually some interesting things. We are addicted to the screen. And it's another enemy of our peace. And you know how every year they come out with a better screen? How many in here's got like an iPhone 5 or something, like one of the older iPhones, iPhone 6, somebody? Jay, what model is your iPhone? Is it like iPhone 1967? Yeah? But it still works pretty good, right? Yeah, and so this one, this is like the iPhone 11 Pro Max. So it has the pixelizations in it that my eyes can't even process. You understand? It's like glowing, like consistently glowing. And I got to thinking about it. It's like a drug user. Okay? See, Jason's phone. Jason, will you hold your phone up? Just wave it at everybody. Yeah, turn it on a little bit. Yeah. See, that phone is just as good. And that phone, what phone is that, Donna? iPhone 6. So that thing came out like 7 years ago. And it still works as good as this one. But for whatever reason, if they say it has a better screen on it, then we're going to buy it. And here's the reason I'm telling you that. It's just like a drug dealer who takes the first hit. And then they get addicted and they want more. They get addicted and they want more. Now, here's what I'm telling you. This is some good information, okay? Our brains become accustomed to the screen resolution on that. And then it desires more. And so we feed it a little bit more. And then we feed it a little bit more, and this addiction gets worse and worse and worse and worse. And we start craving more and more of that stimulation in our brain. See, this is not an information bank. This is a stimulation bank. And I'm telling you, I don't mean to get off into that tangent because I fell to it just like everybody else. But what I'm trying to say is we're wanting to understand why we don't have peace when we're so connected to everything that is stimulating our brain and keeping it firing in ways that it should not fire. Our brain was designed to rest, but we don't let it rest. The bed was made for what? Sleep, rest, right? But in the bed, we're not. We're looking at phones. We're doing all these different things, and we're doing whatever we can just to keep moving until our bodies give out and we fall asleep. You know how many times that I've done this right here, like be laying in bed and looking and it goes, huh? And now you're woke up again, right? And you wake up for a good 10 minutes and you're like, oh, where was I at? And then 10 minutes later, it's like, but the couch, we sit on the couch to rest. We sit at the table to eat and in rest. But instead, I find ourselves, we're sitting on the couch with the TV going and the kids are playing and you doing this. And we sit at the table, you go out to dinner and all the couples are doing this. There's no peace because we have created a culture of consistent brain stimulation. And no wonder we're so stressed out. No wonder we're so overloaded. In the moments that we should be resting, the moments that we should feel just clean and just free from everything, we have overloaded ourselves. Like I remember a time when I didn't, and this may sound bad, okay? And that's fine. I'm okay with it sounding bad. But I remember a time when I was not so connected to the world and all the bad things that were happening. And now we know if anything bad happens, we know about it. And we introduce to ourselves this stress load of everything in the world because we're so connected. What if I was to tell you the reason that you do not have the peace that Jesus paid for is because you are more connected to the world, which is a peace stealer, than you are connected to Jesus, which is the peace giver. I'm telling you, and you cannot live that way as a Christian. And I know that I am up here just spilling out words that most of you probably will not even take into consideration. But what I'm telling you is that if you are looking for peace in your life, if you need to calm down the noise inside your soul, maybe, just maybe, you should stop everything what you're doing and just rest and pray and read the Word and just spend time with God. Be more connected to the peace giver than you are to the chaos giver. Do you think the world gives you peace at all? No. But what it will do, here's what it will do. Man, I'm getting deep this morning. I'm trying not to do this. It was going to be a really simple, beautiful sermon, but the Lord's leading me to this direction. Listen to me. But instead, what the world will do is it says, I'm going to steal your peace, and then I'm going to load you up with medicine that will mask the effects of that so we can steal even more of your peace. And it's just this vicious cycle of pushing down so that you can keep overloading and keep overloading and keep overloading. When really peace was made to be simple. I can listen to the 32 steps of how to get peace. I can read the books on the 7 ways to have peace in your life. I could listen to the audio books that tells me the one thing that will bring you peace. I could do that all day long. Or I can just go to the one whose the punishment of our peace was on him, that he would be, for unto us a child is born, and he will bring peace on earth. Jesus himself said, he said, I will give you a peace that the world cannot give you. And yet we're still looking for other avenues of peace. And I think that this is the Christian mentality. This is the world mentality. Jesus is so freely here. He came to give us everything we're looking for. And instead of going to him to find it, we'll just go everywhere else to find it. And it ain't working. It ain't working. Because then once you get accustomed and you start taking all the medicines and all the things to kind of just numb you, because that's really what happens. You're not getting peace, you're getting numbed. Then that don't work, so you got to up the dose. Jesus' dose is plenty. His promises are full. Maybe, just maybe, if you would stop for just a minute and get on your knees before the King of Peace, before the one who said, I paid for your peace. If you would just get on your knees before him and say, Lord, I'm sorry I've been doing it my way. I'm sorry I've been doing it the world way. Your word says that you are the King of Peace. Your word says that you brought peace to the earth, that you paid for my peace. Can I have that? And then if you would just stop, I think that you would find it. And so that had nothing to do with my sermon. I just got to read this. The word peace in the Bible is shalom. He is Jehovah Shalom. And shalom means completeness, soundness, welfare, and peace. And so today I want to talk about 3 enemies of peace. And to me, these are the 3 things that really just take our peace away totally. And number 1, that's financial stress. For whatever reason, we are really good about getting out of debt and then jumping back in head first. I'm sure we've all done that before. We'll consolidate our loans, credit scores go up, and then we just jump in like a cannonball. Like I'm the world's worst at that. Like, here I come, brand new everything. The Lord has got me debt free so I can jump right back in. Thank you, Jesus. And that's not how it works. Every year at Christmas, we're running around. I'm running around with Mary last night. She's doing last minute Christmas shopping. And she's like, we got to get this, this, and this, and this. And in my mind, I'm thinking $50, because I'm a guy. $500 later, I'm like, Mary, you got to stop. Like, stop. And she's like, I told you before we left, we had to get presents for A, B, C, D, D. And you knew that was going to be some money. And I'm over here saying, yeah, like $50. Can't we go to the dollar store? They got good stuff in there. Like they got cologne and everything. And I'm telling you, it's cheap. It's like $1. But, and so we overload ourselves, and Christmas is the world's worst. Like, for whatever reason, my dad for years, like when we would go to Christmas, and he's going to watch us and he's going to laugh because it's funny. But when we go to Christmas, I didn't expect presents really, like as an adult, because Dad just didn't do that. But he handed me a brown paper sack. Always a brown paper sack. Y'all know what was in that brown paper sack? An orange, an apple, some walnuts, and a candy cane. And he said, Merry Christmas. But we get into the hustle and the bustle, and we want to impress. We want to buy presents. We'll finagle money. We want, we got, like my brother has like 37 kids. And so and I've got one. So he has to buy one present, and I've got to buy 37. It just ain't fair. But even last night, we're trying to finagle this idea of how can we buy together gifts? And then we really should just went to the dollar store and just bought 37 gifts. It's just one of these things and it's at Christmas time, sure. but it's even in work and in school and everyday life. It's McDonald's. It's not having time. We don't even have time to cook some pintos and cornbread. Please, in the name of Jesus, I need pintos and cornbread in my life. So instead, we go to McDonald's. You know, this is the world. You see how fast-paced? It's stressful just even talking about it. Are y'all stressed out like I am right now? Yeah. And this is the world we live in. We don't even have time. It's like we come home and we want to relax, but we ain't got time because, you know, all the clothes that we've been wearing to go to 14 different events and we change clothes every time have got to be washed. Like, there's just no time for peace. We just make no time for peace. And financial stress, my. It's an interesting thought. Gran actually showed me this, and I didn't even think about it. But you know, the Israelites were in slavery to Egypt for 400 years. And if you really go back and you study the thought of it, they were not captured to be slaves. Did you know that? God actually made a way for them to come to Egypt in the middle of a famine through Joseph. Joseph goes to Egypt, and there's a famine in the land. His brothers come, and Joseph gives them a part of a land in Egypt. So now they're living on the blessings of God. And 400 years later, somewhere down there, now they're living in the bondage of slavery. And that's how quickly and easily it happens. Blessings turn into slavery. It's like we just keep stacking, and we become a slave to debt. We become a slave to things in this world. And we had good intentions. We did, but we became a slave. Financial stress is the number one reason for people's anxieties and depression. I mean, it's like those guys back in the 20s and stuff when the stock markets have crashed. What would be the first thing they'd do? Jump out the window. Because financial stress is number one. God does not want his people overloaded. The Bible says, "Oh, no man, nothing but love." And I'm preaching to myself. But one way that we can get out of stress is to get out of debt. We all got to do that. Yeah? Look at the scripture with me. Well, I don't have a scripture. The next enemy of peace is time. We talked about time. We got to slow down. And to me, the number 3 is probably the most important, because if you don't have time, you don't have time for this. And the number 3 enemy of peace is absence from the Word. We don't even have time to read the Bible anymore. So we wait on the pastor to tell us what it says once a week. And if you really want to be spiritually full, how can you wait on one person to feed you once a week? It just doesn't work that way. And so we have to do a better job of feeding ourselves. We have to read the Word every single day, because that is the source of our peace. Principles of peace. Let me challenge you this. Starting January 1st, I challenge you all to do the 1-year Bible. Since we're all, I don't suggest this way, but you can do it. In your phones, you can download the Bible app, and it has a 1-year Bible plan in there. And every day for 15 minutes is all it takes. Have you got 15 minutes? If you read for 15 minutes a day, you can read the entire Bible in a year. That's not too bad, is it? I know somebody that challenged me on that, and they did 30 minutes a day and read the Bible in 6 months, and it was pretty cool. It was pretty cool. So let me tell you about this, Principles of Peace. This is by Dr. David Jeremiah. It says, because the Holy Spirit is resident in the life of every believer, the Holy Spirit's in me, it becomes possible for every believer to experience peace. For those who have accepted the grace of God, we must now ask, what exactly is peace? That's what I'm asking you today. A person may grow weary of constant noise, and I say that I want a little peace and quiet. We understand what they mean, but the absence of noise is not peace. It would be great if there were no military conflicts, but the absence of war is not peace either. And I just kind of wrote this down because that really stuck out to me. Peace is not the absence of chaos. Jesus' peace that he give us, the Prince of Peace, the peace that the world cannot give. I don't think that peace is everything else shutting down. I think peace is our stance in the chaos. I think peace is the way that we react in the chaos. Does it allow? Does it irritate us? Does it attack us? Do we react to it? Do we overload? Do we explode? There's moments, and I'll tell you, like it happens to me all the time. I'll be in this place at home, and I've done this the other day, and I think I was just pressed too hard. I had been going too hard, and I was sitting on the couch, trying to just take my mind off everything for a minute. And Shepherd was just like a chihuahua. Like a chihuahua. And I said, give me just 1 second. Give me just 1 second, Shep. Hold on. Give me a second. This is me being transparent with you guys for a minute. Give me a second. Give me a second. And then he said something, and I remember I just said, stop. And I just reacted, and I felt so bad. I felt terrible about that. Some of y'all, that may be like your everyday thing. But for me, I felt really bad for slapping at him and screaming. And I didn't slap him. I slapped my hands together at him. Scream. And it's because there was no inner peace within me in that moment to be calm and respond. I reacted instead. And that's what happens when you don't have peace. You react instead of respond. And so the one story, we all know the story. I've probably preached it a bazillion times, but it's the perfect example of this. Go with me to Mark 4:37. When there arose a great windstorm, and remember Jesus was on the boat, and it says the waves beat the boat so that it was already filling. And verse 38 says, but he was in the stern asleep. Jesus was asleep. The storm, like the disciples, they're all running around screaming, we're going to die, throw the water out of the bucket, we're dying. Like it looks exactly like you're envisioning in your head. Like it's Goofy, Mickey Mouse, Donald Duck, and Daisy, and they're running around throwing water out of the bucket, out of the boat, saying, we're going to die. They're freaking out. They are really wigging out. And they came down to him. He was asleep in the middle of the boat down in the stern. And it says they awoke him and said, teacher, do you not care that we're perishing? Then he arose and he rebuked the wind and said to the sea, peace, be still. Like we always put so emphasis that Jesus woke up and he said, peace, be still. And the wind ceased. And I don't even think it happened like that. I think he just got up and said, peace, be still. He was asleep. That part of the story is neat, that last part. The cool part, the great part is that he was asleep in the middle of the storm. He had peace. So you can be like the disciples who in the middle of the worst part of your day or the worst part of your life, you could be running around saying, what are we going to do? Where are you, God? Why do you not care? Do you not understand what we're going through? Or you can have the heart of Jesus and understand everything is okay. See, peace is not the absence of chaos. Peace is my response to the chaos. Either you trust that the Lord has you or you don't. That's peace. I was talking with somebody the other day. I can't remember who it was, but true peace is when you pray for something, and even if it doesn't get answered like you wanted it to, you still have faith. Oh, is Aunt Connie? You still have faith that God's answer is the best answer for you. That's peace. That no matter what I'm facing, no matter what I'm going through, no matter how bad it really is, I am at peace because God has me in mind. It's not absence. Peace is not the absence of chaos. I've got news for you. You will never, ever be out of the chaos. We live in this world. Peace is not presented by somebody or something, a little pill that numbs the chaos. That's not peace either. Because that just numbs your senses to it. Peace is trusting God with all your heart that in the middle of the chaos, He's with me. That's good stuff. That's good preaching. Y'all should be standing and clapping or something. I don't know, but that's all right. Y'all stay there. Peace is not found in the world. I've covered this, and I've talked about this several times. Philippians 4:4-7 says, rejoice in the Lord always. I'll say again, rejoice, rejoice. Let your gentleness be evident to all. The Lord is near. Do not be anxious about anything. So if the Bible is telling me not to be anxious for anything, yet I'm full of anxiety, I'm not fulfilling what the Word of God said or what Jesus paid for. And listen to this. But in every situation, be in prayer and petition with thanksgiving. Present your requests to God, and the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and guard your minds in Christ Jesus. The word transcends there means to go beyond or surpass. So what happens, it says, and the God of peace, which transcends, goes beyond and surpasses anything that you could understand. This doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense to how I have this much peace in the middle of this. That is what God, that's the kind of peace that God wants you to bring you. That's the kind of peace that in the middle of the storm, when everyone else is screaming and everyone else is crying and everyone else is falling apart, you are still. Because you know that He is God in you and in your heart, and He's with you, and He surpasses all things that the world could give you. There's a story, I don't know it, I didn't look it up for the sermon, the Lord just reminded me of it, and I'm probably going to butcher the story, but you can Google it, and I've told it before, but it has to do with I think a lady that was living in Japan, and there was a storm, like a tsunami or something, a hurricane or something was coming, and the city was evacuated, but she refused to leave her apartment because that was her place. And did you know that and this is true, look this up, this is serious business, Google this, the lady in Japan whose house stood in the hurricane. This is serious business. Every house around her fell but hers. And she stayed in her apartment in perfect peace. Like, do you really trust God that much? Because that's where your peace is coming from. You may wake up in the morning and your finances be a wreck, but do you trust God enough to get you out of this and to show you the way? Like, you may wake up in the morning and go to the doctor and they may give you some bad news or something, but do you trust God enough? Do you have peace in you enough to say it's okay? Because that's peace. It's not the absence of chaos. It's not found in the world. Peace is knowing that everything is going to be okay. Max Lucado said, believing prayer ushers in God's peace. Not a random, nebulous, earthly peace, but His peace, imported from heaven. The same tranquility that marks the throne room, God offers to you. I thought that was really cool how he kind of said that. The same tranquility that marks the throne room, the very peace that's in God's presence can be in you. He offers that to you. Peace is knowing everything is going to be okay. Philippians 4:9 through 11 through 13 says, whatever you have learned or whatever you have received or heard from me or seen in me, put it into practice. And then the God of peace will be with you. I'm not saying this because I am in need, for I have learned to be content with whatever circumstances. I know what it is to be in need. I know what it is to have plenty. I have learned the secret of being content in any situation, in every situation. Whether well-fed or hungry, whether living in plenty or in want, I can do all of this through Him who gives me strength. Philippians 4:13, the King James says, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And what better way to grasp peace than understanding Paul when he said, I've had it all and I've had nothing. I've understood it and I've not understood it. I've suffered and I've been in perfect conditions. And I've learned to be content. And that word content actually translates into this same mindset that I have learned to have peace no matter what I'm facing. So as your pastor, I know that there are some things in this room right now in your hearts. Your peace is a wreck. You're struggling. You're really suffering. I know there's some things going on in your life you don't have the answer for. You don't know where to go, where to turn, or who to turn to, or what to say, or what to even think. Some of you, the Lord's showing me, you don't even know what it is. You just have a feeling of uneasiness in you. And God says, I want to help you find that peace today. I paid for it. I want you to have it. And before I do this altar call, I want to say this. The next 3 days are supposed to be the happiest days. Family, time off, celebrating, spending time together, giving gifts to one another, food. But for so many, it's the saddest time. So many of you may be going through something right now that you just can't shake. And I'm here as a messenger of the Lord to tell you His peace is waiting on you if you'll just take it and rest. Just relax. So here from your pastor's heart, I'm asking you, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, don't be in a hurry. Relax. Find the peace of God within you and relax. Can you do that? Will you stand with me? If you're in here today, every head bowed and eye closed. If you're in here today, could I have my prayer team come? Donna, Tracy, Wayne, MC, can I have some of y'all come and just pray with these people? Blake, will you come and pray with them too, please? Joel, anyone in the room that can pray with somebody, I would like for you to come pray. Yes, Becky, come please, thank you. Every head bowed and eye closed. If you're in here today and there's a storm inside of you, you've been battling and battling and battling. You're struggling to find peace, and you're tired of losing to the battle. You know that God is the God of peace. You know that He came to bring you peace, but you just don't feel it. You want it, you need it, but you don't feel it. Would you make the step this morning, 3 days before Christmas, as the greatest Christmas gift that you could give Jesus today is say, I want to receive your gift. Would you make that step this morning and come and let one of these people pray with you? Let them be an agent of peace for you, someone that can minister peace into your heart. I know that there are people in here, you are struggling, whether it's a level 1 or a level 10. I know that your peace has been interrupted because I know this world. So if that's you and you need just a little peace, would you come and right now, just I'm going to count to 3, and on 3, I want you to come and say, devil, you're not going to steal my peace anymore. I'm a child of God. I'm going to count to 3. 1. It's the hardest step is the first step, but once you make it, you will feel that peace begin to flood you. 2, 3, come now. Anyone in this room, you are tired of having the chaos in your life and responding to it, and you're ready for that peace. Will you come now? Come now, all over this room. Come now.